Ladies and gentlemen, bringing you the best podcast on YouTube today, King's Corner. J. King here with special guest TJ Hunter.
It's an honor to be here on your very first podcast, Jay.
Well, I had to get the best guest for the first show, but I've got some stuff that I want to discuss with you here today, TJ.
What's that?
WrestleMania 34 main event. You're not the biggest fan of Brock Lesnar's title reign, and you're not a super Roman fan.
I wouldn't say I'm not a super Roman fan. I will admit, when he first got his push, I was one of the haters. But in the last year or so, he has really proven to me that he has put in the work and that he deserves to have the spot that he has. So I am a super Roman fan now. He has turned me around and he has shown me how good he really is.
Okay. But a lot of people have given that match a lot of crap.
Yep.
And I personally was a big fan of that match and the way it ended. And I love to see a little blood now and then. But I'm curious what you really thought about that match.
Well, I'm going to start off by saying Roman is a damn good bleeder. He got busted open hard way by Brock Lesnar. He bled more than Randy Orton ever. I don't think I've ever seen Randy Orton bleed like that. The last person I've seen bleed like that really good was John Cena.
John Cena's an excellent bleeder. JBL, excellent bleeder. Eddie Guerrero, it was an accident, but that was a damn good blood job.
In all honesty, I really liked the way that main event ended. When it first happened, you know, if you go to our Instagram, go to our stories, I was not pleased. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? That was a really good ending to one of the most crazy WrestleManias ever. That was the best WrestleMania in all the worst ways, and I don't know how else to say it.
It was a good show. It was, for me, top 10 of all time WrestleManias. That's just me. That's my personal opinion.
Even with how bananas that WrestleMania got, it's still top 10 easy. That was a fun WrestleMania.
It was.
You know what the best part about that WrestleMania to me was? It broke the mold. Up until that WrestleMania, every single pay-per-view, all I heard from critics was so predictable. Everyone can predict the matches. Hell, even you and I got perfect predictions on multiple pay-per-views leading up into that WrestleMania. Yeah. Not a single one of us got perfect predictions at WrestleMania.
No, but had I been able to change my predictions as the matches were going on, I would have had perfect. Right before the main event started, I told Ray, my buddy back home, and I told Danny, and I told TJ that I think Brock Lesnar's going to win.
We didn't believe him. None of us did. All three of us told him, you are an idiot.
Hell, my buddy back in Oklahoma, Ray, he called me and he told me, I don't think that Brock Lesnar will ever win in the WWE again. Everyone was so convinced that he was going to UFC. But, Lord behold, Brock Lesnar retains.
That was more shocking than Shinsuke losing and his heel turn put together.
I had a feeling something was going to go down in that WWE Championship match.
You know what the best part about that is to me, though?
I thought it would be AJ turning heel.
Yeah.
I did.
I like the fact that is clearly, because of that heel turn and the way the match didn't really deliver, that is now clearly the first in a series of AJ knockout matches. The only problem is, if you listen to Wrestle Ramble, you'll hear him say it too. And I agree with them. They built it up like it was supposed to be this one-and-done dream match. So now that it didn't deliver, people are mad. If you step back and look at it as, now this is the best, or the first in a series, this was a great first match.
They built it as a dream match, and the fact that it under-qualified for a dream match.
Makes me want more. Right?
Exactly. But the way I look at it, Shinsuke turning heel, Vince McMahon believes in him. That's Vince saying, okay, you couldn't do it as a face, but we turn you heel and I want to see what you can do. Now it's in Shinsuke's hands. Nakamura has to go out there and take Vince's push now. And that's what I love about it.
While we're on the topic of Japanese people, What do you think about Asuka? Just kidding, I know it's Asuka. Not only losing her streak, but tapping out to the first time she got put into the figure 8.
I loved it, and it was watching that match. I expected it to be 10-minute match. Asuka wins. When Asuka got locked in, I got focused on that submission. I couldn't take my eyes off of it, and I had a feeling. I was like, "This is it. It's over." And when it actually happened, I couldn't believe it. I could not comprehend that Asuka's streak was done. I wasn't a fan of the streak. It was boring. But the perfect ending to a streak, in my opinion.
And now they are free of the booking shackles that a streak brings. Especially, you have a deep women's roster, but not deep enough for a undefeated streak like that.
Had it been male superstars undefeated streak, it would be a lot more interesting because there's a lot more competition.
I don't think people really realize how big of a roster for the guys that they have. They had, I don't know if it's true, I didn't want to count, but Todd Phillips, Tom, Mike, whatever his name is this week.
Tom Phillips.
He at one point said that there was 30 men in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. That is 30 guys that didn't have anything to do on the card.
That's 30 guys that you can go through in one undefeated streak.
Plus, almost every single men's match besides the 2 world title matches were multi-men matches. So it's multi-men matches galore, plus 30 guys that didn't have anything to do. Plus, there was other people, I'm sure, that went on the card that we've forgotten about. Kurt Hawkins didn't make an appearance at all. I wanted Kurt Hawkins to be Braun Strowman's tag team partner, damn it.
I wanted James Ellsworth. You all know that.
Let's be real. That kid was a cool moment, I guess, but it was a waste of a surprise.
It really wasn't. It was a good Mania moment. It got the crowd back into it. And people that hated it, they can just shut the hell up.
No, I like the moment. I'm scared of what they're doing with
They relinquished
Braun.
the titles, but they just needed Braun on the card in a big moment because he was filler for Brock or Roman had something happened.
I'm really nervous on what they're doing to Braun Strowman. They're almost making him this friendly monster.
He'll be fine. He's going to be fine. One heel turn and Braun Strowman will be back to a monster. But, speaking of monsters, a monster of a ladder match.
Oh my goodness.
The first multi-man ladder match to ever receive 5 stars from Dave Meltzer.
I don't want to say this full on because I haven't really gone back and looked since seeing that. But from my recollection, that may be the first ever multi-man gimmick match that's received a 5-star. Usually the gimmicks don't receive the 5-star ratings. And it's usually exclusive to more one-on-one, sometimes triple threat matches.
It was amazing. It was match of the night. For me, it was match of the night.
Speaking of match of the night, before we completely leave WrestleMania 34, there's one more thing I want to talk about. And that's the fact that Ronda Rousey is an amazing professional wrestler. Everything she did, it was clean, it was precise, it was nice, it was really crisp, and I didn't expect that from Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle, Stephanie McMahon, and Triple H had match of the night.
Who would have thought? Those 4 guys. 2 of those guys are older guys. They can still go, but they're older guys.
There's something that you might not know. They had the longest match on the card.
By 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Nakamura and AJ went 20 minutes, 20 seconds. These guys went 20 minutes and 40.
It's crazy.
And there's one more thing I want to talk about before we completely leave WrestleMania. This is not based in fact at all. This is just me speculating, but I kind of have a conspiracy theory on what happened with Ronda. I think that they made her look bad on the mic and kind of clumsy with her blocks on purpose. So when people go to that, when people watch that match, they're like, okay, this might be cool for the spots and stare downs, but she's not going to do anything good. So that way, when she did what she did, it was a bigger surprise than people were
I
into
never
it
bought
more.
into that whole thing because I've seen her talk in press conferences and I've seen her in the octagon. I knew that something was up. I don't know. I knew that Ronda Rousey was going to deliver in that ring and on the mic.
Alright, now we can completely WrestleMania 34. Nothing else is really there to talk about. So let's go on to the other 5-star match.
Back to NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa.
2-time 5-star match ratings winner.
Johnny freaking wrestling. I'm not the biggest fan of Gargano myself. I think that his character is too similar to Daniel Bryan's, and I wasn't a fan of that Daniel Bryan character. But he is the best wrestler in NXT. Maybe the WWE as a whole. Maybe even the entire professional wrestling business.
That man knows how to get a crowd behind him. He knows how to put together an amazing match, and he knows what spots to do and when to do them. That's something that not a lot of people know.
Johnny Gargano, he can't sell.
What do you mean?
He can't sell. He has two facial expressions. He has glazed over after he gets hit with the big move, and he has angry. Other the time, he's covering his face. He never shows pain. He never shows sadness. He shows glazed eyes and mad.
I don't know about that.
It's the same thing I have about Kenny Omega. Now, you can go back and watch any Johnny Gargano match, and you see the same two expressions. He doesn't sell with his face. But Kenny Omega, he's too quirky. He's just... Kenny Omega is an amazing wrestler. But he's goofy. That's what... His matches do need that, but sometimes he takes a little overboard with the goofiness. Take nothing away from Kenny Omega. He's an amazing wrestler. One of the best today. But... I don't know.
That's what brought him to that game. That's what brought him to one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's the only one who's goofy like that, but still has credible and legitimate claim to a world title spot.
Okay, well, his match with Jericho. Then he got the can of cold spray and sprayed it down his pants and made a stupid face. The match didn't need it. Yeah, it was cool. It was funny, but the match didn't need it. It's professional wrestling. It's not a cartoon.
I don't know. That's what I love about Kenny Omega, man. He invokes... WWE says it a lot, and I hate that I'm about to say this, but he is one of the most polarizing figures in professional wrestling.
I agree. I don't know that I could say polarizing.
You don't think so?
He's one of the most charismatic, yes. I agree with all your points. But at the same time, I disagree with some of them. You see what I'm saying? But, anyway, speaking of best in the world, and talking about Kenny versus Chris, what do you think about the Okada-Omega series of matches?
Ooh.
In my personal opinion, the first match was amazing. The second match was amazing. But I loved that third match. Okada got the win in the first one. Kenny got the second one. No, he didn't.
Time limit draw on the second one.
Yep. And the third one was hands down my favorite Kenny Okada match. It was spectacular. It was one of the best New Japan matches, if not the best New Japan pro wrestling matches I've ever seen.
You've always said that, and I don't disagree with you per se, but why do you think that one's so much better than the second one?
Because that match, I don't know. It's one of those things where I couldn't tell you. In all honesty, what makes it stand out the most to me, it's just one of those matches. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. And, I mean, I'm not trying to, dispute with you what you think it was better, but, because it's all opinion. Everything about professional wrestling is opinion, honestly. But, so what you're telling me right now is that you like the 4.25 or 7.5 star match over the 6.25 match and the 6-star match.
I don't agree with a lot of Dave Meltzer's match ratings. And it's just one of those things. Like, it's not the best match I've ever seen in my entire life, but it's one of my favorites. The storytelling was there in the third one. It was there in the second one, but the third one, it captured me. It got my attention from the start.
That's all this is. It's some matches will get to some people more than other matches will.
Exactly, and that's why the third one stands out to me. Like Danny's favorite match of that saga is the first one. Yours being the second one, and mine being the third.
See, the good thing about Danny's though, you can't have our favorites unless you had that first one. They're all crucial to the story, and I really believe that in 2019, Kenny Omega's beating Okada
for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship.
I don't think it'll be at Wrestle Kingdom. I really think it'll be at like Sakura.
Dominion.
Oh, I said Sakura. It's Sakura. You think it's gonna be at Dominion?
Second biggest show of the year.
I hope it's not Wrestle Kingdom because people would expect that too much. I would like for it to be at Dominion, Sakura, New Year. Could you imagine New Year's Dash having a world title change for New Japan? That would be insane.
It really would.
How do you think of Pro Wrestling Dontaku? Cody Rhodes, well I guess Cody, and Hangman Page versus the Golden Lovers.
I called it.
Yeah, you did.
Any match that Hangman Page is in, I will say that Hangman Page is winning.
Hangman Page got buried by Joey Ryan's piss. The penis pretender's piss.
Alright, Cody versus Kenny. We're getting off that topic a bit. Yeah?
Well, I mean, he definitely redeemed himself from being dominated by piss when he faced Kota Ibushi. But I really don't think storytelling-wise they topped Cody versus Kenny.
Kota Ibushi and Adam, Hangman Page, had match of the night at Supercard of Honor. They did.
The Young Bucks coming out to They were obviously both ready to super kick Cody.
They chose Cody.
They did not choose Cody.
They chose Cody.
They were going after Cody. Cody
has a t-shirt that says they chose me. And they're super kicking King. They chose Cody.
Then how do you explain the latest episode of Being the Elite when everybody left Cody?
No.
Sad and alone with Flip Gordon pulling a Hulk Hogan.
No, that's not what I'm
with Brandy.
Oh, that's not why I'm sad. Marty Scurll's leaving the Bullet Club.
Maybe not.
I think he's going to WWE.
You think that's the $5 million deal that he was talking about?
I do. As soon as I watched that with Danny, I said, he's going somewhere else. He's going to World Wrestling Entertainment.
He's gonna go work for the big dogs. I'm nervous. Yeah, I hope he stays on NXT for a while because that's where Trips will have him.
You've seen a lot of Villain Club shirts in that NXT crowd. You hear a lot of Too Sweet chants in that crowd. Imagine Marty Scurll joining the Undisputed Era.
That would be nice. That would be a perfect fit.
Imagine Marty Scurll joining Mustache Mountain to fight against the Undisputed Era, 4-on-4.
What if that's his Villain Club?
That's what I'm saying.
Because no one has copyrights to Villain Club except for Marty Scurll. They could legitimately make that a faction in WWE with no problem.
But would WWE use it since Marty has trademark? Or would they try to buy it from him?
That's a lot of politics I don't want to get into, but I feel like they would just use it. I feel like they would just use it for while he's there. So, how about that Raw after WrestleMania?
I don't want to talk about that. I want to just get down to it. I got a question I want to ask you. And I want your honest answer. I will give mine. But what do you think the best 5-star match in WWE history is? Honest answer.
The best.
The best.
The best ever.
In WWE history.
I'm only picking 5 stars.
Yes.
You realize it only gives me like 7 options.
There have been 10 total.
The most recent one. Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in the unsanctioned match. Is my favorite by far.
Really?
Yes. It's because that match, we've seen it millions and millions and millions of times in WWE. The tag team breakup cliche. You did this to yourself. You know, it was a normal tag team story. However,
yeah, it was.
However, they made it into something else that they made it into something that we've never seen before almost. They took something that was a cliche and turned it into something that was absolutely, positively perfect.
They did.
All the emotion, all the brutality in that match, Johnny Gargano using the knee brace. I mean, everything just went together with their story, and everything was what it should have been. There wasn't a single thing, you know. For you, probably besides the selling, you probably wanted Johnny to sell more.
It's his facial expression. His body, it's the facial expressions. They're not there.
And then you got Tommaso Ciampa playing the perfect psychopath. Early in the match, I don't remember what he did. He hit a move. It wasn't a huge move, but it was a move that took Johnny out for a few seconds. He went to the ring apron, and he started clapping for himself like he was a maniac, and I loved it.
On the back.
It was the greatest, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my entire life. Storytelling, in-ring work. The conclusion was, I wish Tommaso would have won, but you know that's probably another talk for another day. I guess I'll stop ranting and raving about mine. What's your favorite 5-star match of all time?
Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10.
The one where they weren't allowed to use ladders as weapons. They can only fly off of them.
The Intercontinental Championship Unification match. One of the original WWE 5-star matches. Razor Ramon's only 5-star match, believe it or not. I think that he's one of the most underrated superstars in WWE and WCW history. But that match, I've watched that match multiple times. Watch them. I've played the match, I believe 2K16, 14 in WrestleMania 30 years of WrestleMania. And that match was the funnest match on the game. And it's one of those matches when you watch it, you can't talk during that match. Because either you're speechless or your eyes are glued on the screen. It's same thing with Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa. That match, I was glued to the screen. I was.
I've never been in so much fear for professional wrestlers' health. When they peeled back the mat and exposed the straight concrete, and then Johnny Gargano hit that sunset flip to Tommaso on it.
It was just a powerbomb.
Was it
It was just a powerbomb.
I thought they were on the apron and he hit the sunset flip powerbomb.
Just a powerbomb. But that was the safest way Tommaso could have taken that bump.
It still looked brutal, man. I would never take that bump. Ever in my life. Tommaso has more balls than I do. I couldn't do it.
Let's be real. I would probably take that bump for the right match. I took a bump in Walmart, took a bump on the ground. I've taken bumps a lot of places. Took a bump in the asphalt the other day.
Probably not on purpose.
No. Walmart it was. You remember that?
Yeah, it was garbage.
Yeah, it was a bump.
You didn't throw your hips up at all.
I ain't gonna rake the air.
Plus, it was pretty hard tile.
Yeah. Go to your local Walmart. Take a bump in aisle 7.
Why aisle 7?
Lucky number. But now I'm on ladder matches. I just can't get that match out of my head. One of the greatest matches I have ever seen in my entire life. It just sucks to think that it was over 20 years ago.
Yep. One of your favorite matches is one that you weren't around to see.
Yeah. It just makes you think. Nowadays, wrestling is so different from back then. When you think about it, Hulk Hogan, you got The Rock, Stone Cold, Kevin Nash, Vader, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Sting, Jeff Jarrett. So many great names there. They did so much for the professional wrestling business. And you think about it nowadays, and you look at it, and you just try to think, who could be those guys? You're Hulk Hogan, you've got your John Cena, The Rock, maybe you're, I don't know.
You know how much I love WWE right now because they've been doing a more independent style wrestling. However, I do think they are failing miserably in an aspect that they did so well up until about 2012. About the time...
PG.
No, I don't. PG has nothing to do with this. And that was in 2011. About the time they made Punk the top guy was about the time they stopped doing this. WWE, WWF, WWF, the reason they succeeded so well back then is because everybody, almost every single one of the top guys would transition somehow into multimedia. They would get their face known to the public, not just wrestling fans. The last person that's done that is John Cena. I mean, sure, they've made the movies, Dolph Ziggler and Countdown, Triple H and The Chaperone, but none of those would ever make the mainstream media like Hulk Hogan did, John Cena did, The Rock did, even like Razor Ramon and Kevin Nash when they went over to WCW. That was a huge thing. And then you got people like Bruno Sammartino and Pedro Morales. People would go around from all over the world,
Ric Flair,
just to see the spectacle that used to be pro wrestling.
You think about it nowadays. How many non-wrestling fans would go to an event to see Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins?
Who?
Exactly. You get John Cena's name on there, you'll get some old wrestling fans in the building.
You get some people who don't even know what wrestling is. They've seen them in movies.
Hell, non-WWE guys are falling under it. AJ Styles would sell buildings to old TNA fans. Samoa Joe. Kurt Angle.
They need to dip back into maybe not even movies. Like that's not all you have to do, but get them more than just on the news once a year.
I think that the best professional wrestler right now, getting himself out there and drawing in fans, is Broken Matt Hardy. When that character first came on in TNA, maybe not WWE, but TNA, it got fans interested. It boosted TNA's ratings. Final Deletion, The Ultimate Deletion, the Tag Team Apocalypto, Delete or Decay. Those are the highest viewed shows in a long time.
So you're not wrong, but I would add something to that. He's not getting new fans necessarily.
He's bringing people back into the business. That's what I was getting at. He's not bringing in new people, but he's bringing people like, hey, did you see what? You remember Matt Hardy? You should see what he's doing on Impact. It gets viewers.
I wouldn't even say that. You're right. Like, he is getting those people back. However, the way I see it and the way I view it is it's that the numbers kind of add up to support this just a little bit. Rather than him getting the old people back or bringing new people in, all he's really doing is taking this wrestling bubble. If you're listening to this podcast, you are in a wrestling bubble. We didn't like TNA. TNA started to become the just complete bad programming for the longest time. So the wrestling bubble stopped watching TNA. And, you know, no one can blame us. They weren't putting out the best product like they were in 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Matt Hardy started doing this stuff. He didn't bring people back to the business. He didn't bring new people into watching wrestling. He brought the wrestling bubble back to Impact.
Yes, but he brought eyes onto characters like EC3, Eli Drake, Drew McIntyre. He brought people's eyes back on them, so they became commodities. They became what WWE wanted. He opened doors for TNA superstars with that broken gimmick. He did. That's not disputable.
Like, I've been going through my head since we started talking about this. I don't know that there is someone anymore that can bring that multimedia. That was always their biggest selling point, was they would get...
I'm going to stop you right there. Ronda Rousey.
So we'll talk about that now. Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar. The only problem with that is it's still just like the people that watch UFC, watch MMA. It's still a bubble. What I'm thinking of is how, the spectacle that it used to be. Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, all kinds of guys back then. It was more along the lines of how wrestling used to be, at circuses. All it was muscly men throwing each other around. People loved that. That's why they hit mainstream. It wasn't media back then per se, but they hit the mainstream because everyone liked to see that spectacle. Then you switch over into like your Hulk Hogan's, your Rocks, your Stone Colds. They actually hit mainstream media because they made the movies. They went to the news. They went to all these events and things.
Hulk Hogan did one movie and it was trash. No, if you have not seen No Holds Barred, don't. Don't.
He's actually done quite a few movies, and they're all bad. But
I'm saying the movie he starred in.
He's starred in a lot of movies, more than you think. But
I take nothing away from your statement, but the greatest wrestling movie I have ever seen is Ready to Rumble.
Well, I'm not talking about wrestling movies.
No, but then you got me on that topic now. So let's talk about wrestling movies.
Well, hold up. Let me finish this point, and then we'll talk about wrestling movies. So you think of like all the back then, their biggest goal was to hit that mainstream media. But now, as already a wrestling fan, we love it because now they're focusing more on the wrestling. But from a business standpoint, they're not getting that multimedia or the mainstream media attention that they used to get. So no one, as far as I know, I don't think anyone could do it anymore. No, everyone is so focused on the wrestling aspect of their careers.
They could have gotten one man to do it had they built him right and booked him correctly. They could have gotten Bray Wyatt to attract. They could have made him what The Undertaker was. They could have made him a spectacle that people want to see. They could have made him a big draw. I'm not saying they can't. He still has all the potential in the world.
And he's young. He's got time in him to do it too.
They just have to pull the trigger.
That's the thing for a lot of guys. They got to pull the trigger, and they got to go back to how they used to be and how they got everyone out there. Even if that means selling out to Brock like they did. Keep him around. Keep people's eyes on the product.
Yeah.
I think the best part about, I know we're going back to this, I think the best part about WrestleMania 34's ending is that WrestleMania is when you have all your old fans coming back. All your casual fans are watching. You know, they know Brock Lesnar. They see where Roman Reigns is about to beat him. The hardcore fans hate it. The fans turning is like, who's that? And the casual fans probably are booing him because everyone else is. You have Brock Lesnar win. That's how you keep people there when they come back from Mania. That's the closest they've gotten so far to me, and Ronda Rousey.
I'll give you that. But enough about that. Back to my point. Wrestling movies. Ready to Rumble. If you've not seen it, go on the internet, type it up, and rent it for however much it costs. Buy it. Do something. That movie personifies professional wrestling very well.
It was so good that David Arquette didn't get nominated for an Emmy or an Oscar. He got a World Heavyweight Championship.
That movie. Jimmy King. Not a real wrestler, but good actor. Well, that movie also introduced the triple layer cage.
Yeah, that was a great idea, wasn't it?
In the movie, it was a good match. DDP, Sting, Goldberg. Had a lot of good cameos. Introduced me to a lot of WCW stars. And actually made me watch my first episode of WCW Nitro after I watched that movie. Honestly, I can say that movie made me a DDP fan. But, yeah, WCW was something different. It was its own thing. It wasn't the best after they lost the ratings win.
Yeah. Once Raw got their second win back, it was all downhill, and it only got worse.
Once they got Vince Russo.
That piece of shit human being.
Hey, don't knock Jim Cornette, TJ. Jim Cornette is a genius when it comes to booking. He knows how to book. He may be an asshole, but he is 100% correct in all his booking decisions. And with the fact that he says Vince Russo is a slime ball piece of crap that does not deserve to ever be happy. He's a miserable human being, and I honestly hope that he never, ever gets anything to go his way ever again. He ruined WCW. Had Vince Russo not gone to WCW, WCW might have actually won the ratings war and taken WWF out of business.
We might be watching the WCW Superstar shakeup.
Exactly. It could. Vince Russo destroyed the Raw ratings war. The Monday Night War.
Have you heard the conspiracy theories surrounding all that?
Yes, that Vince McMahon sent Vince Russo to destroy WCW because Vince knew he was a piece of shit booker and didn't know what the hell he was doing. And then I could rant about Vince Russo for a long time. I have seen many Jim Cornette shoot interviews on Vince Russo, and I could quote most of them word for word. I'm a Jim Cornette-aholic. I don't agree with some of the things he says, but most of it I will back 100%.
100%? A whole 100%?
Not 99.
9.99.
Not 15% like Garco.
Geico can save you 15% on car insurance.
We gotta get a plug in there for advertising. We're trying to get some sponsors here. But yeah. We kind of run long on this.
Not bad for our first podcast.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun, TJ.
Any final questions? Anything you want to go over anything you want to talk about before we sign off?
I do have one more question.
What's that?
Well, it's more of a series of questions, but I've been thinking about this, going through it my own. But the top four in professional wrestling, you have WWE, number one. You have New Japan and Ring of Honor and Impact, formerly known as TNA. And they are all filled with amazing athletes and outstanding professional wrestlers. But can you pick a top four from each company? In ring, top four wrestlers in that company.
From each company? From all four of them?
You'll name one, I'll name one. We'll start with TNA. Ever. In TNA history.
So just name all four and you'll name all four for that company?
You'll name your TNA, I'll name my TNA.
Alright.
We can discuss.
Ooh, that was taking me a little off guard. I gotta think back because funny, you started watching TNA before I did. And by the time you got me on TNA, you'd stopped watching TNA.
That's because it was shit.
And by the time you got back to TNA, I don't think we've ever really liked TNA at the same time until it was Impact, GFW, Global Force, TNA Wrestling.
TNA from about 2005 to 2011, 12, 13. When Bobby Roode won the world title, I kind of fell off.
I believe that was 2012.
I think they pulled a Punk. Right. It sounds about right.
That was back when all they were doing was copying WWE
and then
stories.
2014, when the AJ Styles and Bad Influence rivalry picked up, that's when I started watching again. Kind of fell off when AJ left and Magnus won. Came back, saw the Aces and Eights. I saw a lot of things. I never really fell off for a long time.
Well, actually, a lot of that was mixed up. I think, actually, Bobby's win... No, you're right. Bobby's win was 2012. AJ's was in 2014, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But everything that happened with Aces and Eights happened before all that happened. Because AJ Styles was mixed up with them for a while.
Came in, no, the end of AJ's title run it was.
Because Aces and Eights had been there since 2011, or actually 2010. Because remember they took out Sting, and then before Genesis 2011, he had the vignettes about him coming back.
Aces and Eights took off in 2012. Because I was there for the whole story with Aces and Eights. I was there for the start when they first came in. I remember the first night they came in, and then I remember when Bully Ray was revealed as the leader against Jeff Hardy in a steel cage.
We'll have to look a lot of this up because it's all so.
I'll take a look at that right now. I'm pretty sure the Aces and Eights.
I think they got there in 2009 or 10 because Sting had vignettes. Unless it was, I'm thinking of the wrong year, but I'm pretty sure his vignettes were for 2011 to come back.
Yeah, they were 2012 to 2013.
That's it?
Yep. I know it wasn't long. I remember it wasn't a very long story. They came in June 14th, 2012, and they were gone November 21st, 2013. So I didn't take off. Bobby Roode might have won his title in 2010. I took 2 years off. I know I did.
Did WWE steal something from TNA?
No, Nexus is 2011 or 10. He won his world title in 2011. That's what it was. Yep. 2011. I stopped watching for about a year.
And that was when I started watching. As soon as he actually... I actually started watching in 2012 when Jeff Hardy was champion and holding the double belts. I was super confused because I didn't know any story yet.
I fell off for about a year, so when I came back, I wasn't too lost. I think I started about a month before Aces and Eights. And I remember, I thought Aces and Eights was one of the best storylines. It kind of pissed me off when Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff turned out to be in it the whole time.
Why? They were one of the, I really think they were some of the MVPs of the group for a while.
Yes, they were, but I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things. But back to the question.
Oh yeah, I haven't even answered your question
We
yet.
just kind of rambled.
All right. So top 4 wrestlers in TNA history. That list cannot have a start, end, middle. You can't talk about this list unless you talk about Bobby Roode.
So you're number 4.
I'm not going in any order. I'm just trying to think of the top 4 guys. And Bobby Roode is in there for sure.
We'll make this together. You throw Bobby Roode in there.
I don't know. We're going to have 2 separate lists because I know we have different opinions on a lot of things.
You throw Bobby Roode in there. I'll throw Jeff Hardy in there.
He's probably in mine too. My top 4, probably, this is going to be really, 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 really generic. Bobby Roode, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, and Samoa Joe. All WWE guys right now.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
But I mean, if I could get a top 5, I'd probably put Magnus in there. Magnus, if he would just had a better story with Sting and Main Event Mafia and all that, if they would have capitalized more on his momentum after he beat Sting at Slammiversary that year, he could have brought that title to greater heights. Because then after that, he finally won the title, but he was a corporate sellout when he did it. They screwed over Jeff Hardy, which is never a good idea if you want your fans to get behind or get someone over, even as a heel. I think that just that's really what turned me off.
When Jeff Hardy got pushed off that ladder by Dixie Carter, I stopped. I didn't watch the next week, and I didn't watch until Broken Matt appeared. That killed me. I'm the biggest Jeff Hardy fan in the entire world. You can ask TJ and Danny. And that killed my TNA love. That put out the fire I had.
TNA had a lot of bad booking decisions. It really killed a lot of people's fires, from what I've heard. Because they had such a good thing going with this core group of guys. You know, you get your Joe, your AJ, your Bobby, your James Storm, your Magnus. You know, Christopher Daniels was in there, Kazarian was in there. You got this core group of guys, and they were taking TNA to new heights. And then,
at one point they had an amazing tag team division. One of my favorite TNA tag teams of all time, the Bromans, Jesse Goddard.
They were super underrated.
They were super talented, super charismatic. But back to my top 4 in TNA history: AJ Styles, Sting, Kurt Angle, and EC3.
I like that list. That's a solid list. That may be way better than my list.
That's all.
EC3 really got my fire back for a while.
Variations of their former characters, but the Joker Sting was created in TNA.
Oh, my favorite Sting.
The wrestling machine wasn't created in TNA, but he brought a new life to TNA and reinvented Kurt Angle in TNA. EC3 was a complete TNA creation through and through, and EC3 is one of my favorite, if not my favorite TNA character in history.
I think they took poor old generic Derek Bateman and they made him into the superstar EC3.
Yeah, but under Ring of Honor.
Okay.
I can tell you my list right now.
Alright, go for it.
Christopher Daniels.
Alright.
Austin Aries. CM Punk. It's a toss-up. But I'm gonna probably have to say Adam Cole.
Baby.
It was either him or Samoa Joe, but I'm gonna go with Adam Cole.
Baby.
Alright, TJ?
Alright. Let's get controversial here. Um, my 4 for Ring of Honor. You gotta have AJ in there. He's not gonna. I'm gonna spoiler alert. He's gonna be in all 4 of my companies. I love AJ Styles. Punk did absolutely amazing things for Ring of Honor. I actually have 2 guys going in together as one entry, and it's the Young Bucks. They have transcended the tag team division in every company they've ever touched.
So you got Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson, CM Punk, and AJ Styles.
And no, the Young Bucks were 1.
Oh, okay.
My last one. I don't know if you'll agree with me, but it's Cody. He brought Ring of Honor to new heights.
I agree. He took the world title off my number 1. I will give Cody that. And speaking of Cody, he's had some damn good matches in New Japan. So that's a good segue right into that company. You want to kick it off?
New Japan. So in our group, I am the New Japan diehard. So this is going to be, I'm going to butcher all these names, but they're all Japanese, except for AJ Styles. AJ Styles, don't remember his first name. Tanahashi, he's the ace. Yeah, the ace, Tanahashi. Tomohiro Ishii. And, I don't know who else to say. I gotta say Naito. Up until G1 Climax, I probably would have said Taguchi, just because of how influential he's been in his entire career. But with what Naito showed throughout the end of 2017, early 2018, he's got to be there.
I'll agree with you on those, but mine, Kazuchika Okada, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, and Shinsuke Nakamura. That's just what it is. AJ Styles is there, yeah, but I don't know.
Alright, last and certainly not least, top 4. I'm going to let you start this one because you're the WWE diehard of our group. Who's your top 4 of all time, ever?
John Cena.
Of course.
Razor Ramon.
That's a good pick.
Shawn Michaels.
Hell yeah.
Randy Orton. The Legend Killer is the best
Randy Orton
storyline I might have ever seen. Rated RKO. Great. His rivalry with Cena has been one of my favorite of all time.
That got so personal. It was amazing.
His build up to his WrestleMania 24 match with Triple H is one of the best builds. And whatever that might have been 25. I think it was 25. But it was one of the best builds in WrestleMania history. The match underdelivered, and it should not have gone on after Shawn and The Undertaker. But the best build in WrestleMania. I'm gonna go in WrestleMania history.
You want to take a crack at who my first of the 4 is?
Let me guess. AJ Styles, John Cena, CM Punk, and Edge.
No. Close. But no.
Yep.
So it's AJ Styles, obviously. He's been in all 4. Seth Rollins.
Okay.
Shawn Michaels.
Okay, AJ, Shawn, Seth.
You see a pattern there?
Yeah, they're all Shawn Michaels reboots.
And Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, there you go. And TJ Hunter's list concludes with the 4 Shawn Michaels.
Well, I mean, you got, that's my style of wrestling, man.
Yeah, but
I'm
going to be honest with you. The reason that I didn't put AJ Styles in my New Japan, in my WWE, in my Ring of Honor, I knew you were going to cover it. Same reason I put Will Ospreay. Same reason you didn't say Will Ospreay. Because you knew I was going to cover him. These lists are... We don't try to just throw them all together and keep the same people on every list. We just go out there and say the same names twice. And it's not very interesting. But I just figured I'd throw that out there because some people might get a little offended that I didn't say AJ Styles for New Japan. But that's the reason behind it. And that's all I can really think of today. It's been fun, TJ.
Yes, I was glad to be on your first ever podcast.
And we're running a little long here, but don't miss out on the next one, where my guest will be the one and only Danny Fuego. This has been Jay King. You've been in King's Corner. Have a nice day.